I think what is interesting is that really how few people have ever seen what is in these books.
The special collections of Jewel in the Crown of the BFI National Archive, and we're here in the strong room where they're all kept. The BFI's had a long association with Derek Jarman. The production board put money into his films in the 80s and 90s. He was made a BFI Fellow in 1990, and in the same year he donated his books and his papers. We're actually having a bit of a privileged peek behind the scenes here. So this is where the collections are kept, but everything is usually accessed physically through the BFI library at BFI South Bank in London, central London.
Yeah. We'll have a look at this one first. And this is mainly photographs.
Okay, so this is a book he has made, and he's made it by, he's bound it with ribbon. This is stencil paper used for, it's wax paper or oil paper that's used to be cut to make stencils with. And then the paper within is Japanese handmade paper. It's extremely decorative paper. So these aren't just books that have got information in, they are objects that he has built with an aesthetic aim in it.
If we get into a bit with photos, we might need some gloves.
They go well with my blue outfit. These look like early costume designers. It's strange to have them in the middle of all this stuff though, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the odd thing about these, they're not typical of the books that he did later, is that they're very portable little books, and he's drawing from life, he's sticking in photographs he's found, he's writing poetry, and he's designing. I mean, this is an interesting page, isn't it? If you just lift that edge, he's cut a hole into the paper to mask areas of this photography.
I just wonder whether he ever had these on set and who did see them. And a couple of people did mention remembering them on set. Others said, I never saw him with a book. And I think he did show them to some people, mainly set designers, and also some of the actors, just to see his working process. I think they were quite private.
And it's quite typical at the last pages in the books, he would stick things that were of sentimental value. There's one where he's stuck a £10 note.
Oh yeah, that's all he got paid for that.
For making a film.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at one of the notebooks for Blue.
Excellent.
So that's absolutely typical of the books that Derek made really through most of his life, in that it's a photograph album that was purchased in Italy.
Yeah.
He bought them in stacks of 10 or so.
And they cost £100 each.
Did they?
At the time, yeah.
And so what he's done is take these photograph albums and turn them into journals. He was somebody who was working both with text and visually, and these books really are the record of it. I wouldn't have thought it was typical of a filmmaker to keep books like this. It's much more typical of the way an art student is taught to marshal their thoughts, and so he's a very, very unusual person, and it gives these books a very unusual status. So this would have had a beautifully decorated Italian print cover, and he's completely wiped it out with black paint.
And then it opens up with Jubilee is a fantasy documentary. The film is fabricated so that documentary and fictional form are confused. And I love that idea. Art and life become synonymous. And I think for me that is that sums up this book. I guess each one has its own personality, and this one was this kind of DIY, cut and stick, like punk aesthetic, which then carried over into the film so perfectly. Yeah. And obviously also summed up the time.
Now this is an important page.
Yeah, this was a great discovery. Adamant writing over it some song lyrics, because he was in the film Jubilee, and then one of his songs was used in the soundtrack as well, and he's written a note here to Derek with congrats on the film, which will take up where Gone with the Wind left off.
So this is him correcting his own lyric.
Well, this is what I initially thought, but now I can see it like full on. What it is actually, this is instructions on how to fix a carburettor, and then he's written lyrics over the top of it. And it's the lyrics to, it was Beat My Guest, which was a song that I think was eventually released.
The Jarman archive as well is so distinctive within the other collections that we've got. Obviously filmmakers are hugely creative people, but in the collections that we hold here, very few of them have got something that's as visually rich.
This isn't at all typical of what...
I guess he was coming from a different world, wasn't he? So I mean, he is quite unique in that sense as an artist and filmmaker.